So I am here with one of my brothers who I only see so often, Underdog, also known as Baba Underdog, also known as DJ Underdog. Any other aliases,
The Universal Quasar Light. No, I'm just playing.
Baba? And go ahead.
No, that's it.
Okay, and so Zakai, he's off doing father duties right now, but we are so delighted to have you with us today, Baba.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just one of the first things I wanted to say is that the reason why you're so special to me.
Thank you.
Is because you DJ'd the night I met my husband.
Oh wow.
And Cornell West Theory was playing over at the Pop-Up Art, the I Am Art with BK.
Yeah. That was a good one.
And you played the first song Zakai and I ever kind of like quasi danced to, which was Water No Enemy by Faye.
Yeah.
It was just such a special night. So thank you for being one of the people that have helped us come together.
Absolute beauty. That's beauty.
So one of the things I was sharing with you earlier, Sweet Weirdness is all about people living from their most authentic expression.
Okay.
And so a Sweet Weirdo is a person that lives from their most heartfelt, authentic expression.
For sure.
And you're one of those people.
Thank you.
So do you mind if we call you a Sweet Weirdo?
I don't mind. Weirdo has many contexts.
So this Weirdo is spelled W-Y-R-D-O.
Okay.
And it means actually the original meaning of weirdo, well, weird, W-Y-R-D, means fate or destiny.
Okay.
So that's different from the W-E-I-R-D, right?
All right, respect to that.
And so when we found that out, it was like, whoa, because we want people to live in their most upful, beautiful, authentic expression and destiny. Because that's what our souls come here to do, is to fulfill a contract.
Truly.
Right?
Yeah, truly. I was thinking about that the other day.
What were you thinking?
I was thinking I fulfilled my contract. I can leave now, you know?
Are you ready to go?
Well, I've already died, you know? Everything else is just a gift now, you know, to me. Like, I don't know, it's just something I've been thinking about, not like in a hallucinogenic state, but more or less like, you know, I feel like I've done my part. You know, I paid my dues, I've given and received, and I know what that joy feels like, you know? So, you know, there's legacy.
That's shame.
Yeah, so.
One of my, last year I was told by a woman who's a shaman and a mystic, she told me that I had fulfilled karma with this particular family member.
Yeah.
And when I was reasoning with Zakai about it, I said, well, what does that mean? Because this person's still living, I'm still living, we're not going anywhere. And he was like, that means I can create whatever I want now.
Absolute.
Right?
Absolute.
Even though I wasn't, how do you say it? I wasn't, what I was supposed to create with that person, they didn't want. Right? The healing that I was brought in to help them with, they voided our contract. You understand?
Truly.
And so that changes, it alters the relationship.
Indeed.
So
I agree with that.
So I had already done what I was supposed to do. The rest is left up to them. So I could change. I could move in a different way with that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
So when you think about karma, like, what do you think about in your contract? Like, what do you, so when you talk about your destiny and your karma, what did that look like to be here, to be a light body here on this planet at this time? What did that feel like for you? And now what is your gift? Like, how can you move further in your gifts? Because I think you still got more time here.
Give thanks. When I think about karma, I think about nature, you know, and what you've given back. Because nature produces, you know, and nature forgives us for our acts. So I think, like, you know, whatever you're producing, it's a gift back to nature. If anything, it's like, you know, if you're putting out plastics and, you know, parabens and all these things in nature, you're karmically, you'll get back all the residual from, you know, what you are taking away from what's needed. You know what I mean? In the divine scheme of things, but karmically. You know, when I think about parties, when I think about artwork that I've done, the way I've influenced people, you know, and I didn't used to embrace it. I used to be like, this is me, put it out there. If you like it, so what? I don't have to, you know, 1,000 likes, who cares? You know, but, you know, as I sit back and I've actually taken a break intentionally just to like stop and like survey the territory and the land and say, what is this about? Why am I here? Why did I make all this art? Why did I make all these parties, make these vibrations? And it's actually pretty joyous, you know? And I actually like you know, people like you, people like Zakai, are like the sum total of everybody I've ever wanted to meet in life. You know, like we in Shango, we're talking about holisticness and what that means. Not just the I, not just you, but what everybody has done to make you you. You know, is really important. So I think that karma, the karma of making something and then people receiving it, is a gift in itself. And like, you know, that's what nature is. It's making these things for you, and then you receive them, and then you throw the apple core back, or the feces, or the urine. You know, it's like a you know, one hand washes the other in this culture. You know, so, you know, karma is just like that feeling you get when you just barefoot, and it's like nature's like thanking you with the soil, you know, like that chillness. He was in the sweat the other day, well, not the other day, but he was talking about how he was, you know, going low for that coolness, like, you know, in the sweat. So, you know, we reason about a lot of things in relationship, and, you know, and what all of it means. And you feel it when you're out there alone walking, and, you know, you can see that leaf kind of like tinging. You know, the little subtleties are karma for me. I don't need like some, you know, money market account as karma. I don't need residual income. The karma is in the stories, you know what I mean? And, you know, you have this identity you walk around with, and you kind of just accept the stories when people come back and tell you, like, hey, did you know that, you know, I was on the verge of suicide? Like, you know, last year I was doing Afropunk, and somebody came up to me and she was just like, I was gonna commit suicide, and I heard this mixtape you made and this one song, and I'm like, wow. You know, and that's the beauty of the internet on those levels. You know, when when you can reach people in, you know, Seychelles Island off the coast of Africa, like the most random place, Madagascar, but you know, when people come back with those stories, those commentary, like, hey, that's you, you know, you're the one that helped me. That's the karma for me, you know.
Wow, Baba, and I didn't want to like interrupt you, because like that was a complete stream of consciousness that you came down with. Like, even as you were talking, I got emotional, and I felt like my heart expand. So when you talk, like, so one of the things that Zakai and I wanted to ask you about, and you already kind of answered it, was that like owning who you are in this world. And when did you feel like, one, that you actually started owning who you are as this amazing, amazing being on this planet? Like, when you stopped feeling like, did you ever feel awkward about who you were? Yeah,
you know, because like different faiths, whether it be Rasta or whether it be Sufi or whether it be Buddha, you know, they try to teach you humility. And I think I was carrying a lot of humility, not trying to recognize what's happening and unfolding. And even some spirituality, African spirituality will teach you to like embrace these things, you know what I mean? Embrace the now chapter, you know? So like, I started doing that later in my career. It's like, wow, you know, I can call this person and I can make this happen now, you know? But before I was just like really humble, because I was humbled. You know, like, you know, DC will humble you to a level, you know, unprecedented sometimes, when you're just like, man, I ain't nobody really. And you're trying hard. It's like, you know how they say when you play in New York, that's the hardest crowd to move. That's DC. Like, we're dealing with so many principalities in DC that it will humble you. But I feel like, you know, I've been humbled to the extent where it's like forced me to put out artwork and forced me to put out, you know, these parties, you know, these mixtapes, all this art, to where I'm just like constantly pushing. And then, you know, you go to New York and you just tear down their crowd, because it's like, why? It's like, wow, you got this plethora of music that we've never heard before. And I'm like, well, I'm in New York. You should already be hip to this stuff. So DC will humble you to a certain extent.
But I think part of from what I've seen over the years, is that you walk in your beingness, right? So you're not being anything else other than who you are. And so when you move the crowd,
Yeah.
there, that's because it was nourishment, right? They were hungry.
Yeah.
And what you brought was food. And what you bring is that.
Yeah, the first what's the word I'm looking for? The first covenant is to yourself, is to dread, basically, to like, you know, remove yourself from yourself. So, you know, once you take yourself out of body, you know, you remove yourself from your art, and then you're just constantly giving. And I think that I've taken myself to a place. I used to drive a city bus, you know. I used to drive the Metro bus.
I didn't know that.
You know, I had a sneaker store. I've had every job in the city, you know. But when I started to remove those jobs would like humble me, you know, and they built this skin on me. But I also like tapped into spirituality more, to where I would remove myself from myself, enabling me to create, enabling me to take chances, enabling me to not, you know, not want to do what everybody else is doing.
Yes.
You know, and also technology. You know, technology has actually pushed me to stretch it further, because I used to play vinyl, like hardcore. Everybody knows, like, if you want to battle, we can still battle on vinyl. You know, a lot of DJs be like, you know, oh, I don't have records. No, I still have records. And that's how I started. And that's humbling, you know what I mean? And a lot of people too, they don't want to sweat, you know? They don't want to sit with something for an hour. They don't want to do the yoga at the turntables. They don't want to do the yoga at the tennis court. They don't want to do the meditate making food, you know? People don't want to spend that time, you know? And I think for me, I used to do marketing for Ruckus Records, which was Mos Def, Talib Kweli, you know, all these. Common was on Ruckus. And I used to put posters up in the street, and I just remember that feeling of like sweating every day, you know, and being on the bike and like, man, I'm really trying to get out here, you know? And I think that sweat and that rigor has made me really built for, you know, I don't want to say like taking over the internet, but I know how to flood things when the time's right. You know what I mean? Because you have this grit in you and this rigor in you and competitiveness. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times people like, oh, I don't want to compete, but like you are competing. There's principalities that you're competing against. There's variables of parties. You know, people want to put, you know, women with no clothes on parties, you know, on flyers, and I'm like, I got to compete with them. I got to make a flyer with a queen on it, or like you know, it's like change the paradigm. That's just really what I was trying to do. Like, I would walk down this U Street, and you've been on U Street, you've been to the parties. You see the flyers, they all have like strippers on them and like disrespecting women, and I wanted to change that narrative, and I flooded it on my own level. You know, the same way they used to promote those parties at Pure and Dream and Love. The same fly, you would see that flyer, and then you see my African Afrobeat party flyer on your car. So you have options now. So I know I'm going around the world with this,
but I
but
appreciate it, because you actually touched on the next question I was going to ask you, was like, as a male-bodied person in this world, an African man,
absolutely,
as an intergalactic African male-bodied person in this world, how do you feel that women can be more, how do you feel women can be better taken care of in the narrative? Like you were just talking about strippers on flyers versus you having a queen of a dark hue, bald head, like beauty, you know what I mean? And neither one of them, it's not a competition between either one, but how do you feel like women can be better taken care of in our society, especially women, African women, brown women?
I think it starts with us. You know, we're the reason why so many women have been tainted, you know. We have to have serious empathy for our sisters, you know what I mean? Because the sisters suffer on a daily basis, you know, especially after age 8, you know, age 9, 10, 11, that's like the core part where you really need to like uplift, you know, because, you know, with social media and all these things and music that's like degrading our women, you know, especially our women, we make the art, we make the music, but then we're perpetuating this narrative of like, you know, I, and she ain't this, and you know what I mean? And I think for sisters, man, like, you know, it's basic. I was talking to somebody recently, my friend Amber, and we were talking about the uterus, you know, and like the moon cycle, like that kind of education. Men need to sit in on those meetings. It needs to be no division. You know what I mean? I think women have raised men for so long, you know, especially in the inner cities, you know, because the men dipped out, you know, off ego, off wanting, off lust, off all these things, you know. And I think the brothers really need to like have 3 times the amount of empathy for women. You need to greet up women when you see them in the street with the proper greeting, beautiful color, sister, or, you know, I love your hair, have a great day. Not just trying to like, hey, Red, hey, shorty, in the, you know, and we need to really be aggressive with men, you know, about that, about empathy, about basic care, you know, because a lot of guys are dealing with, you know, this trauma of I didn't have a father, or, you know, so they blame the mother, you know, and, you know, I really think that there needs to be like a gathering, weekly gathering for men, you know, with some kind of financial offering for them to have food and talk, just talk, basic conversation, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, in the city, like places like Sankofa and, you know, where else? Even Keppers, you can't even meet up there sometimes because the politics around that. So, man, there's so much I want to talk about, man. Like, it starts with the men. The men need to step up, you know, and we are getting like a serious wave of new indigenous, native, ritualistic energy coming back to, you know, consciousness through the internet. But it has to resonate in person. It has to, you know, we have to not be afraid to say hello, you know, and have a great day. It's real simple things, simple, subtle things build, you know, this snowball of empathy to me. And I think our culture is really displaced, you know, so, you know, it's almost perverted, you know, how wicked stuff is now, you know, because we're not even like following our own like regimen of thought. We don't even grow our own food, you know. It starts there. Culture, what's his name? Culture starts with agriculture, you know, in a nutshell. So all those things, you know, I think women need serious like love and care, and, you know, it's not about sex.
I was gonna say, without it being sexual.
Yeah, it's not about that, you know. I know so many sisters that have been like traumatized by men, first with the father, then with a boyfriend, and so on and so on, and you have this vicious cycle, you know. So, you know, we need to have more empathy, like twice times the amount of empathy.
Thank you, Baba, for that. What are the things that you do to take care of yourself after you have given so much to people? Because you feel like, to me, someone, and you please let me know if I'm on the right track.
Sure.
But you feel like, you feel like someone who takes in a lot of information and you observe the world on a very deep level. And so it comes back out as you're offering in your music or you're offering in your art, even with the youth that you work with, right?
Teaching,
So how do you, and you teach graphic arts, right?
I teach graphic arts, at Georgetown and at Richard Wright Public Charter School.
Wow. So like, how do you take care of yourself?
Well, that's what you know, I'm like 10 years in not getting sleep, you know? Like, I've kind of been, I don't want to say a martyr, if that's the word, but like, I feel like I've given so much, and now I need to like stop and receive and like, you know, assess the chapter, so to speak. I feel like, you know, I've been in some really good relationships where people have like noticed that and been like, you need you time, you know, because, you know, my schedule is like, with teaching is really hard. Like the giving process is really, you know, these children have no anything sometimes, you know, and you're their everything. You're their counselor, you're their father, you're their brother, you know. Uncle. So that's taken a toll on me. That's aged me in a way, mentally. But I also think that, you know, when I do take my time, I'm always having the best food, you know. I'm always having, you know, comfort in my home, traveling. I went to Florida recently. I've been to Africa, you know, and I don't know. I don't know when it's gonna stop, you know. Like, I got to do Afropunk again this year. You know, I'm doing a festival in South Africa this year.
Wow.
So, like, I'm getting called for, but at the same time, it's like, you just got to find your moments, you know. I have fish at home. I sit and watch them all day. I go to Rock Creek Park with my queen, you know what I mean? We just lay, like, literally, we don't say nothing. We just rest, you know. Sound healing, sound baths. My queen does sound baths, so I'm like sitting in the corner, you know. And not to say I need somebody for that, but like,
it's nice,
you know, it's nice to have somebody to manage your wellness sometimes, you know. Yes. And you know, I've been around people a lot more. I used to be really elusive and not try to have a lot of friends, just so I could focus on my work. But now, like, even at the tennis court, you know, out here with my brothers and sisters playing. So really trying to do, you know, things that people don't expect me to do. Like, I love to camp. I love camping. I can pitch a tent in 5 minutes. Being in the woods is really healing on a daily basis now. A lot of people don't know about Rock Creek Park has so many cuts.
Yes, it does.
And I'm in there every day. You know, I go out there at night.
There are even some caves back up in there.
Yeah. There's some caves. I found a cave 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
There's some little mini beaches, like, you know, those type of things where I'm reminded, like, let's go out. Let's just go lay on a picnic table and listen to the river, like, you know. And also, like, you know, man, there's so many things I relax. I mean, the food is where it starts, you know. Just having good greens and smoothies and
I love a good smoothie.
Man, you know, so those type of things, and keeping company with like a couple individuals on the tennis court, you know. But, you know, the stuff people don't see is like, you know, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
The stuff people don't see is, you know, I wake up every day and I make something every day. Something, whether it be a beat or whether it be, you know, some art for somebody. It's a daily practice, 4 a.m., you know, so, or I'll like sleep in my car after a gig just so I can wake up at 5 and then work, you know, like even last night I played at this big party at Eaton Workshop with Josh Sonic, and like I rode up the street, went to sleep at 4 o'clock, woke up at like 7, came to the tennis court, you know. You gotta really like force it sometimes. You can't be lazy, but you know, it takes a toll on you, you know, especially having a regular job. You know, I could quit my regular job, but I do like the way I reach children. You know, I have a student that works for USA Today now, making more than me, you know, ain't giving me nothing. No, I'm just playing. You know, but like in his weirdness, he didn't cut his hair, he didn't conform. Yeah. And they booked him off of his talent, you know. I did a year in college. I was a meteorology major. Wow. And I dropped out because I was just like, man, I know I can get this without this, you know?
Yeah.
So I just kept working at it, and you know, eventually, I'm not gonna say I made it, but I did create it, you know? Some people like say, you know, what did they say? You might edit this. Some people are like, I'm trying to find myself, you know, but like you really gotta create it, you know? You really gotta create yourself and make it. Like, if you're not making something every day, you know, how can you expect to progress? Like, you gotta make something, whether you make a child, whether you make, you know, a bag, like you have something to add up, you know, and these are things sometimes, but you know, in the end, you have this like, this nest, you know? So, and also like not living in the inner city, living like on the outskirts of DC, you know, Mount Rainier or up 16th Street or Tacoma. Those things are good like reprises for you know, the hardcore city life, you know?
If you could give 5 pieces or 5 jewels, 5 wisdoms, 5
mantras,
something to the SweetWyrdos out here who are just waking up, who have not yet owned their weirdness, or who are just still trying to be like everyone else,
what
would you say?
First of all, if it's related to weirdness, like weirdness is cool, you know? Like I'd rather be weird and be rejected to build up like that tough skin than be, you know, like these good government job type people, like, you know, like everybody wearing black, everybody, you know, on the same page, but be weird, like be weird, you know, be punk. They used to call it punk, you know what I mean? Be anti everything, you know, question everything, constantly question. That may be the second one. Stay weird and then constantly question. You know, because people don't like you to ask questions. People just want you to like, you know, just be like passive and, you know, get on the bus. Why is this $1.25? The bus driver will never know because they're not asking the questions. Like constant question is the second one. The third one would be, you know, make something every day. You know, every day make something, you know, whether it be, you know, you make prayers or whether it be you make food, you know, make something and then like remember, like yesterday I did this, today, you know, every day I make some kind of digital motion graphic, you know, or I make a mixtape, you know, or I practice, you know, so, you know, constantly question, enjoy being weird, stay weird and make something every day. And the fourth one is eat something green, you know, like chlorophyll is life, you know, that's lifeblood, literally it's plant blood. So I say have some green food every day. And the fifth one, enjoy being alone, enjoy like idle time, you know, because, you know, you think about a lot of these like great philosophers and, you know, people that have ever made any difference on this planet, they were alone most of the time, you know, like, and it took them to be alone in the beginning, at least, to create something, you know what I mean? Like, to create a philosophy or create some kind of like doctrine to live by. You know, Tesla, he was alone mostly all his life. He made this like crazy, you know, he could pass electricity in the air.
Yes.
You know, so, you know, you look at all these people, it took that alone time.
But then they locked his ass up.
Yeah, and then they took his idea again, and then now they're using it for blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
I'm not going to say it.
Exactly.
But, you know, they can get you for pre-crime now.
Right.
It's crazy. But no, eat something green, enjoy being weird, constantly question, create something every day, and what's the last one?
I don't remember.
Oh, enjoy being alone.
Yes.
Enjoy idle time, you know, enjoy space. You know what I mean? Even in a relationship, like take space. You need it. You need to reset.
Yes.
You know, I go to Southeast to my aunt's house every so often just to reset my humility, to reset my charge. Like this is what I'm doing it for. You know, to reset my weirdness, to reset your diet. Cause you go over there and it's like a food desert, you know?
Yes.
There is no food. They want you to die. So those 5 things I think have been like, you know, things I've walked with for so long.
Well, Baba, I want to thank you so much for your time. And if I could say a quick prayer for you.
Give thanks.
I want to just call on Mother, Father, God, and all the benevolent forces in creation to continue to hold you up in a beautiful way, to continue to help to restore you, to protect you and your family, to protect your mind, your hands, your creativity. May you be constantly poured into. May you have an overabundance of all the things that you get to have, that you need, and may all of the things that your soul has come here to receive in this life, may they be manifested, and may your soul be happy with the outcome.
Truly, that means mountains. Thank you so much.
I give thanks for your life. Thank you so much.
You all as well. You all as well. Ashe.